This is how you make a rolling workbench for less than $100. Hey, what's up guys? It's Darryl. I'm taking over for Lori today. I'm also one half of the DIY duo. If you're not familiar with what that is, that's when Lori and I get together and do DIYs all around the house. And speaking of DIYs, we're gonna need some help doing that. So that's why we have this here, which is a do-it-yourself rolling workbench. I wanna show you guys how I put it together. So one reason why Lori and I built a workbench is because we're going to start the rustic chic co. It's a mixture of her chic style, my rustic style, and fuse them together. We're going to build all types of things from furniture to all types of cool home decor. And so we need a really reliable workbench to make that an efficient process for us here to get you those cool things. So make sure you follow us on the Rustic Chic Co on Instagram.
All right, guys, so now we're unloading the materials we just got from Home Depot. And here's the major dilemma. So we have 4 tools. We have the table saw, miter saw, router table, and the bandsaw to all put on one workbench, because the issue is they're all spread out all the time, and so it's an issue trying to go back and forth. And we also want to make sure we have a dust collection system on this table. So what I'm doing now, I'm digging through some scrap wood, try to figure out, okay, what can we use for this project, what can we not. But right now I'm marking the boards off. So it's 36 high, 48 wide, 48 long, and so I'm making a few cuts right here, very repetitive cuts over and over again that you're going to see me making. This is me trying to figure out the frame of it all. I'm trying to figure out, okay, where do I want these tools placed? How do I want this thing to go? How do I want the framing to play out? All of that stuff, I'm trying to figure it out. And so I couldn't, so I had to stop for a second and just give me some cereal, because I'm like, man, I'll figure this thing out later. Luckily, I was able to. And I had an aha moment while I was eating the cereal, and I came back and said, okay, I know what type of frame I want to make. So here I am putting together kind of a triangle pattern with these screws. I'm playing with the space of the table saw. I'm trying to see where I'm going to put this thing, and I'm just doing the same type of frame that I did on this top side, or this front side rather, doing it on the bottom as well.
Stop pressuring me. Stop pressuring me. Stop pressuring me. Me on the screen.
So after that, I was like, hey, let's do what we do best and go grab some Mexican food. We're in Texas, right? So I got the enchiladas. You might notice somebody right here. She's coming up. Oh, she's shy. Yeah, right. All right, so back to work now. So here we go. Put in all the tools, just trying to get a good feel where I want things, how are things going to line up when we're making pieces for Rustic Chic Co, whether it be trays, whether it be state signs, tables, furniture, whatever it is. I want to see what's going to be the best use for me. And you can do the same thing for your DIY rolling workbench. Maybe you're not super big into bandsaws or router tables, and you can figure out what's going to work for you. But that's what I was doing. And right here, I'm framing up where the miter saw is going to go. I'm accounting for, okay, I know my miter saw is about 2.5 inches deep. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll put it about a 1/2 inch deep, and then I'll put some of the MDF as a base. I'm trying to figure the whole thing out right now. And of course, here I go, making sure things are level, because the last thing I want is to have, a 90-degree angle cut come out at like an 88, because I didn't level it up enough. And so here I am. I'm framing up where the router table is going to go, and I'm accounting for, okay, I got my NDF board that's a 1/2 inch deep. So I'm thinking, okay, I need to, make some adjustments based off how tall this router table is, and I want the whole thing to sit super flush. So I'm thinking about making the tabletop itself super flush for the router table and the table saw as well. So here I am. I'm framing up where I'm going to put this router table, making sure it's steady, and doing the same thing for the table saw, and just kind of figuring the whole thing out. And it was a shop project, and so it's one of those things where you kind of have to go a little bit on the fly. It's not like a super perfect project where it's like a table, you know, all the dimensions right off the bat. This is one thing I had to fill out as I went. And so what I did, I figured I would flip the table over and mark out where I'm going to have these pieces once I figured them out. So I just took a Sharpie marker and I made some marks on the MDF board to give myself a guideline of what I was going to do. And so here I am making some cuts. That one's for the miter saw, and I wanted to keep that piece right there so I can use it as a base for the miter saw. You might be interested in doing that too when you get around to doing your table. So same thing right here. I'm doing the router table, and I'm keeping that base. Because I want that router table to sit on there flush, and I'm excited about it. Raise the roof. So here I'm flipping it over, making sure things are right, kind of still figuring out to some extent. I pretty much got the design that I want down, but I'm just going back and putting it on there, see how it fits overall. And you see me walk around a lot. Why? Because it's a lack of organization, and that's why we're building this thing, to get organized. So that's what this is about. Here's what I'm doing right here. I'm actually setting some screws in. I don't want the screws that are holding this MDF board to interfere with any cuts. So I'm making them sit below the MDF board. I'm taking one of my bits there. That's the one bit I got from a drill set from Ryobi. I'm putting it in there. I'm making sure all those screws are sitting below that table so they never interfere with those cuts. I'm also going back with the nailer, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm making sure that they just stick in there tight. Hey, go Spurs, go. And then now I'm putting on the wheels. See, there I go. I'm using that base right there for the router table. Making sure it sits flush. Look at that. Beautiful. Now look at that. We're in business now. We're starting to roll. And I'm realizing, okay, I got to make sure I have enough space right now so I can crank up my table saw when need be. Same thing with my miter saw. If I got to move that thing over right to left. So this is why I didn't have that bandsaw sitting on the MDFs, because I wanted to use it as the saw fin. So I'm cutting this out. This is actually my first time using a bandsaw right here. This is first go around this video, but you'll see I got better and better with it as I went along. So woodworking is all about patience, my friends. So I'm using this because the actual saw fence that comes with the Ryobi bandsaw, the 9-inch bandsaw, it's a great fence, right? But I wanted to make larger cuts than what that was going to allow me to do. So I wanted to use this MDF in order to help me have to sit flush. And I could even crank up that little piece right there on the bandsaw if I want to get bigger cuts. Okay, and now time for the big reveal.
All right, guys, so check it out. I want to give you guys a tour of the DIY rolling workbench for under $100. So we're going to start here with the router table. So if you see here, it's specifically designed to be flush with this MDF board that I got. So what's really cool about it, I can come over here if I want to. Now, it fits a little snug, okay? So I don't have it to where you can just rip it out easily because I want it to fit really snug. But if I wanted to, I can easily just pull it up, and I can lift out the table, and I can put it wherever I want to. So you got the router table right there. So that would be super easy. I can move this next piece. So this next piece is the bandsaw. So the cool thing about it is that if I want to, let's say I'm cutting a really long piece of wood or trim, whatever it is on this router table, I can just easily move this bandsaw out of the way if I'm not using it. But the cool thing is that it can also double as like a table for this bandsaw when I'm using it. I can easily move the miter gauge, lift up this cover here, and use that. So now going to the next part is the bandsaw. So with the bandsaw, same concept applies. Everything is removable from this table. Right here, this is the fence I made, carved it out just right here on the bandsaw. So I wanted the same things. I'm like, okay, if I have a really long piece of wood that I want to use on the router table, I want to be able to do the same thing. Lift this bandsaw up, remove it, put it where I need to, but I can also place it back.
This is awesome.
Thank you. Now, going to the Mac Daddy. The Mac Daddy tool right here. The good old-fashioned table saw. So, on this one, if you get this table saw from Ryobi, it comes with legs, and that's great, no problem with it at all. One thing I always found as a struggle with my table saw is that if I wanted to cut any board that wasn't like a 2x4, 2x6, 2x8, something smaller, I typically had problems, specifically with something that was like over 30 inches, because that's more than the width of the table saw. I ran into problems and it was always difficult. So I figured, okay, if I have this table, I can do a couple of things. I could take off this fence here on the router table. I can remove this miter saw back here, take off this bandsaw if I want to. Then I have this whole table that's 48 inches to work with. Now, granted, I'm not getting 48 inches from the blade over, but still it's tons of space, and I can use it wisely to cut whatever size wood that I need. And for me, I don't need industrial or commercial grade things. I just need enough to, really support the rest of sheet co and do the pieces we're gonna make. So it's perfect for me. Same theme still applies, it's removable. I have it nailed in or screwed in pretty tightly here, but if I wanted to, I can pick it up, move it. I did leave enough space to do a couple of things. So number one, if you push this table saw back and take out this, I gotta pull it up, I can take out the fence and remove it so I can adjust it whenever I need it, but then I can easily put it back on by dropping it in. I cut off some space here so I can shift up the blade anytime I need to, so I can make the cuts out. There we go. Also, on the side here, a little space for any of the tools you want, some accessories. I can definitely decorate up more, and I think I will in the future. For now, totally fine putting a few clamps there and calling it a day. Second to last here on the rolling table, or the rolling workbench, you'll find the miter saw. And so, again, same theme. I want everything to be removable, so if I can pick this up if I want to, take it where I need to, put it back down. One thing that was really important to me was having the ability to cut at a 45-degree angle, because a lot of our work pieces are going to be at 45s for trays that we're going to do, to tables, to end tables, to whatever it is. So I wanted to not only be able to move the miter saw, but take it and shift it at a 45-degree angle, and then there you go. We're in business. So look at that. The very last thing on the table was dust collection. I wanted to make sure I had something to handle that. So when it comes to dust collection, I wanted something that was really simple to integrate with the table saw, and over time I'm going to make it a little more complex with dust chutes and multiple hoses. For right now, I just wanted something to be there just to make shop cleanup a lot easier and just to save the headache. So what I have here, I have a rigid shop vac as well as a dust deputy. I don't know if you guys can see that down here, but it's a dust deputy connected to each other with a hose, so I can hook it up to any of the tools if I want to. Also, I can attach some of the accessories to the hose for vacuum cleanup on the concrete floor here. So really cool. Overall, super excited with how it came out. So if you guys like this rolling car, we also have another DIY coming up very soon for smaller hand tools, hand power tools. All right guys, so I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment and subscribe. This for me is huge. Something for me is I know it's gonna make the shop life so much easier, so much more convenient. Making a DIY rolling workbench for less than $100 and getting to do all the things I'm gonna do in the shop, couldn't be happier. So hope you guys like it. See you on the next one.